What is up, everybody? Got my dad hat on, but we're going to be talking about this motorcycle rider crossing an obstacle in the middle of a turn, doing a great job. There it is. Boom. We're going to go over how you can do that yourself so that if something like this happens, you know exactly what to do. So this was a short clip sent in to me by Black Sheep Biker. So thank you so much for showing this to me. That way I can help other people with your example. And that's the beauty of these videos, is that they're examples of what if. What do I do if this happens? What if, what if, what if? So we're going to do a what if scenario in this situation. What's happening here, he's going to be in the middle of a turn and there's going to be a vehicle way up ahead. You can kind of see that right there. We can't see that though when we're riding. We're like, what is that? We're doing our search. We're kind of evaluating, and there might be something in the way of us when we come out of this turn. We haven't executed anything, but if you ever see anything like that on the side of the road up ahead, kind of get an idea, like, oh, okay, maybe I should slow down a little bit. But it was very hard to see that at this speed, so we're going to move forward a little bit right here. You see a vehicle up ahead start to do some type of evasive maneuver, and that's the beauty of motorcycles, is that we can do pretty good evasive maneuvers. We can move over the shoulder, we can move even in the oncoming lane. That's a bad escape path in this situation, but an escape path in this situation could easily be off to the left onto the shoulder. Cars cannot do that, but so when you see a car attempting to do something like that, they're like, well, I'll just hit it with my right side of the tires instead of my left side, so if I do damage anything, it's just going to be the right side, not the left side. So some people start to do stuff like that. So if you start to see a car driver up ahead start doing some weird things, remember, things that are outside the normal and outside of ordinary, that are kind of weird, those are very good clues for you to understand, like, hey, something might be happening. The cars don't act like this. You know, that's why it's really good to know what cars do and don't want to do. So we're going to move over to this part. They jumped over this and they moved it, actually. So this right here is going to be very hard to do any type of escape path since it's going all the way across. So this is one of those situations where if you can't escape it, you're going to have to learn how to go over it. So we can't escape to the left too much because there's barely a gap. I mean, that's enough for your tires, but at a high speed like this, you're probably going to overcorrect or oversteer and hit the guardrail. If you swerve to the right, you're going to hit a car. So it was very good that Black Sheep Biker actually just went over it. A lot of people do panic and they'll slam those front brakes, and then since you're in the middle of a turn, you're probably going to dump it. Or if you swerve to the right, you can get hit by a car, swerve to the left, hit the guardrail. So he actually did a really good job with his search, evaluate, execute. So he searched, he saw it, he evaluated, and then he evaluated what he can do. So he evaluated as a hazard, but then he evaluated what escape path, what evasive maneuver should he do. And what he did is like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go over it. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to just commit to, like, screw it, I'm going to go over it. So like a little, you know, prairie dog or like an animal on the road, sometimes you just have to go over it. And if you do it, make sure you do it. Like, you purposely are actively choosing to do it. Don't just be like, oh no, I'm accidentally going to do it. And then when you accidentally do it, that's because you are not prepared for it. So when you actively do it, that means your skills are starting to come into play, your training's come into play, you're a little bit more confident. So if you're a little bit unconfident with this part, or you're lacking any confidence with going over an obstacle, I suggest practicing with speed bumps. So you're going over a speed bump. Let's say you do 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles an hour. Learn how to do that, because sometimes you're going to have to do that, especially like on something like this. So the vehicle up ahead, the reason why I was pulled off is because in the video he actually went to go pick up his pipe that he dropped. So this can easily happen, especially with vehicles with trailers. So if you're ever following somebody with a trailer, I mean, Final Destination style, you know, don't follow too close and hopefully get off to the side just in case something falls off to the trailer or a truck or anything like that. So right here, there's absolutely no escape paths for him other than going over it, and that is going to be the option that you're going to probably want to do. So what you do is that you're going to lift your butt up just a little bit off the seat, because if you go over an obstacle, that back end, once it goes over it, it's going to buck you up. Just like a horse, it's going to buck you and it's going to push you up. And if you're going to go over a big obstacle at a high rate of speed, there's a good chance it could buck you off all the way. So be very careful with that, and the way you can handle that is putting the weight on the peg. So if you have mid controls or even rear controls, it's pretty easy to lift that butt up. For front controls, it's a little bit harder. So what you can do is blip the throttle. So you're gonna grab the throttle and just kind of blip it real quick. You know, a little bit of acceleration, and what that does is lift up the front end to go over the object. But the best thing that you could possibly do is lift your butt up just a little bit. But if you notice real quick, we're gonna go into this. He's going in the middle of a turn, so he's literally turning right now. And then as soon as he sees the object that he has to go over, he actually straightens the bike up for a split second and then goes over it, and then he goes back to his turn. You could also do that with any type of braking. So like, let's say this is a turn that's about 15 miles an hour and there's an object there. If you're able to and there's nobody behind you, what you can do is straighten the bike, apply the brake, stop, and then if you have to, move the object out of the way, because a lot of times it's not a pipe like this that you can go over. Well, if it's a tree branch after a storm, you can't really go over it, or a tree trunk, just something big, you can't go over it, you have to go around. So you would have to wait for that vehicle to go away in the oncoming traffic to go around it and hopefully get some traffic control, because that would be damaging to any vehicle or any motorcycle rider. So what he did was he straightens up right there. So he did apply the brakes because he didn't know what to do at the situation, but he decided to go over it. And I can't tell if he lifts his butt up or not, but he went over it. So what you want to do before the object is not to apply the brakes. You want to release the brakes beforehand, because when you apply the brakes, the front end dives, and in the front end dives, you're going to have less suspension for your front tire to go over the object. So that's why you blip the throttle a little bit, it raises the suspension, you go over it, you lift your butt up. But this was a very this is a very natural instinct right here. So, oh crap, I got to apply the brakes. But remember, training will kick in if you've been training with those speed bumps, guys, and then you can go over this object. So right here, he's going to move it. Boom, went up and over. And you'll realize that going up and over an object is not that bad if you just lift that butt up, maybe blip the throttle. But the big thing here, it's kind of like front brakes and rear brakes. If you lift that butt up, that's about 80% of it. Blipping that throttle is about 20%. So if you absolutely have to, just lift that butt up as quick as you can, go over it, and then come back down. So what happens here is that he's going to be like, oh crap, what the heck was that? And this is the guy that dropped the pipe right there, and he's going to pull off to the side. Now this is something that I recommend for everybody to do after going over an object or going over or doing anything that makes you like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Because you're going to want to calm down yourself. And then while you're calming down, take a look at your bike. Take a look and check your suspension, check for anything, any damage, because who knows, you might have crushed the object that you went over and it shot up splinters or anything like that. It could damage your tire, damage your rim. So check all these different things while you're trying to calm down yourself. So he does a good job right here, and what he's doing, he's going to be like, oh man, what happened? And so he's actually really happy that the motorcyclist didn't crash. He's talking to the guy. It's all in the original video, so check that out. But he's just like, everything's good, man, everything's good. So that's really cool that he was able to do something like that in an emergency situation. If you want to have help with that, there's a DDFMcrew.com. I do have a website for that. It's going to be free parking lot practice. I talk about going over an obstacle, and this is part of those emergency maneuvers that you need to know. Just like braking, just like deceleration, just like swerving, all these different things. Going over an obstacle can happen to you where there's nothing else for you to do. You can't escape. You have to go over it. You can't brake. You can't do nothing. So it's a very good skill to have. I highly recommend checking out ddfmcrew.com. It's free. It's absolutely free. If you'd like to support the channel, though, make sure you share this video or share one of the videos that you like from ddfmcrew.com. That will really help out the channel. With that said, hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll be seeing you around. Higher speeds. And when we have higher speeds, we're going to have less of a space cushion. We're going to have less of a reaction time and distance. The biggest thing here is that we're going to have vehicles wanting to merge left or merging right. We're going to go ahead and pause that real quick, probably scroll back just a little bit. And what's going to happen is that when we're traveling at a very high rate of speed, people